On that stormy Christmas Eve 22 years ago, a young woman trudged through the unforgivingly cold winds of downtown New York City with a bundle of rags held tightly to her chest. Glass beads of frozen tears clung to the exposed skin of her face. The woman, slightly dazed and clearly distraught, shuffled aimlessly through the snow that clotted the empty sidewalk. She was uncertain how long she had been pushing her way through the whirling snow, but her raw cheeks were evidence of the stretch of time and the ferocity of the wind. To anyone driving by, she appeared to be just another homeless person, one of the city's many untouchables caught in the fierce weather trying to find shelter. They'd give her a callous look and go about their business. The woman, guided by her numb feet, walked and walked until the dim light of a steeple shone through the flittering blankets of falling snowflakes. Slowly, she approached the steps leading up to the door and stopped. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed, lightly rocking the bundle of rags from side to side. "I'm alone, and I have nowhere to go. You'll be better off without me." Her soft crying was captured in the air as tufts of tiny ice beads, dissipating clouds of unfathomable despair. They would momentarily hover about her face like a thin mask before being swallowed up by the passing gusts of wind from the barren streets. Slowly, she knelt and set the bundle of rags carefully onto the cathedral step. With warm tears running cold as soon as they leaked down her trembling cheeks, she traced her footsteps back down the street and disappeared into the storm, never to return. A few minutes later, a priest of the church stepped out onto the front steps. "Good Lord, it's cold tonight, Father Brown," a tall, middle-aged man murmured while tossing his long scarf over his shoulder. He shoved his bony hands into the pockets of his long coat and took a moment to silently view the whitewashed windows with awe. They stood like monolithic snowdrifts, rows of naked windows gleaming with ice like the eyes of a frozen spider. Father Brown was on his way to a homeless shelter across town to help with the preparation of Christmas Day dinner. Having no family of his own, it brought him more joy to be surrounded by those in need than to be cooped up in the church all night watching old movies on the ancient black and white TV set in his bedroom. Though he rather enjoyed Jimmy Stewart's performance in the classic film It's a Wonderful Life, he'd seen the movie at least 50 times by now, and serving the unfortunate souls would be a better use of his time. The smiles on their faces, as warm and inviting as the turkey and mashed potatoes he was lucky enough to serve, was more than he ever could have asked for on this holiest of days. Pulling his hand out of his jacket to check his wristwatch, he realized that if he wanted to catch the late bus to the shelter, he'd have to get a move on. Hurrying down the church steps, he nearly stumbled. He looked down and saw the bundle of rags resting on the bottom step. At first thought to be trash, the priest sidestepped to walk around the heap of clothing when, suddenly, he heard a weak moan emanating from the bundle of rags, muffled by the layers. Curiously kneeling to get a better look, he nearly screamed when the rags began to shiver and move at his touch. That's when he realized something living was wrapped up inside. Fearing the worst, he quickly scooped up the bundle and brought it into the protective walls of the cathedral. Clutching the rag bundle to his chest, he made his way to the nearest pew and slowly set it down, whispering a prayer. Under the glow of various lit candles, and assisted by the borrowed white light of the full moon leaking through the stained windows, the priest quickly undid the bundle of cloths.